chicken Italian meatballs. These will be made in the oven versus the Instant Pot. You can probably make them in the Instant Pot, but we're gonna bake them today. So our ingredients are gonna be minced garlic. We've got grated Parmesan cheese. We have these gluten-free Italian style breadcrumbs. I found these at Kroger last week. So they're actually really good. I've made this recipe already once and really liked it. You can use panko if you prefer that, or another kind of breadcrumb, but the gluten-free Italian style breadcrumb was really delicious. We've got some olive oil, we have our seasonings ready to go. We're using crushed red pepper, onion powder, oregano, sea salt, and pepper. We've got a couple eggs, and then we've got some fresh greens here that we're gonna chop up, 2 pounds of ground chicken, and then we've got some pasta that we're gonna make while our meatballs are baking in the oven. You can use any kind of pasta that you'd like. You could use rice as well, or you could eat them kind of as an appetizer, but this is what we're gonna serve it over, is this pasta we have here today with some no sugar added marinara. Okay, so first step is to preheat the oven. So we have it preheated to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. I have my baking sheet out. I'm using some parchment paper for easier cleanup. You could also use foil if you'd like that, or just put it right on the onto the pan. We're going to cut up our parsley. It calls for, I think it was about 2 teaspoons or tablespoons, somewhere around there. Check the ingredients of cut up leaves. So I just grabbed a few bunches of fresh parsley and I'm gonna cut it up. Doesn't have to be perfect, just as long as you have enough. You can buy this pre-cut at the store. It's a little more expensive, saves you some time. If you are cutting up a lot of parsley or like cilantro or something like that, it's worth it, but for a couple teaspoons or tablespoons, not a big deal. So I just bunch it together kind of in a ball and then just try to get it cut up nice and fine. So we're using 2 pounds of ground chicken today. I think that gets me about 4 servings, if I remember correctly. So you can do this as 1 pound if you just want to try it out to start. Or you can do more. All right, so we have our bowl here. So we're gonna start adding ingredients. So the way I am gonna do this is I'm gonna do 1 pound of ground chicken, all the ingredients, and then the other pound of ground chicken. I just think it will, it'll spread out the seasoning and make it evenly divided throughout the chicken a little bit better. So that's what we're gonna do. It's a little difficult to find ground chicken this week, and I was limited at how much I could buy. So, like it or not, we were only getting 2 pounds. All right, so we have our parsley in here. Next up, we're gonna add our gluten-free breadcrumbs. Then we have our Parmesan. So it's just grated Parmesan cheese that you buy at the store that you might put over spaghetti. Next we have all of our seasonings. I like to go ahead and just pre-measure it. Makes this process go a lot faster. I'm gonna put 2 spoonfuls of minced garlic. We always use this pre-minced garlic that you buy at the store. It calls for 2 garlic cloves. So I usually do about 1 teaspoon per clove. We've got 4 tablespoons of olive oil, 2 eggs, and then finally we will add our last pound of ground chicken. Now you are going to get your hands dirty in this process, so be prepared if you weren't already prepared. So I have everything in there, and now I'm going to use a spoon to mix it all together. We'll use this guy. When you do this, make sure you break up that egg yolk. Always scoop up from the bottom. I'm gonna do most of the mixing with my spoon, and then I will switch over to using my hands. Alright, hand time it is.
She went all the way up. She opened the door.
Alright, so now you just want to use your hands to kind of form it into this giant ball. Could just make one giant meatball. And really just make sure the eggs are nice and mixed in. So I just kind of grab from the bottom, kind of fold it like I would dough in my bowl. Alright, so now you can use a spoon or like an ice cream scoop or something to pre-measure the balls and make sure they're the same. I just kind of grab a little small handful, roll it up, and it's going to be about maybe about 1.5 inches in diameter, if you can see that, and place it on my baking sheet. So they won't all be perfectly even, but they'll be about. When we go to measure this for meal prep, I still use my scale so that way I know how many ounces of meat I'm putting in it. Some of them will be a little bit browner because they won't be the exact same size, but that's okay. If you want them to be the exact same size, just use a spoon or an ice cream scoop. But all I'm doing is I'm grabbing a little bit, forming my meatball. When you do this, you know, kind of mush it together in your hands a couple times and then just roll it out. Okay, so we have one sheet done. You can see I got 20 meatballs on there. So these are going to go into the oven for 25 minutes on the middle rack. So 400 degrees for 25 minutes. Hit start. You can see it took about half the batter, so you should be able to get about 40 meatballs or so out of 2 pounds of the ingredients. So we're gonna go ahead and fill up this second pan, and then by about that time, these should be close to coming out of the oven. And then once I put the second batch in, we'll get our water boiling for the pasta and get that prepared as well. So our first batch has come out of the oven, and how do you know it's done? Well, what I do is I take a toothpick and I put it through one of the meatballs. Like I said, they weren't the same. Put it in, take it out. As long as it comes out clean, then you are good to go. I do have a cooling rack here, so they've been sitting here for about 2 minutes. I'm just gonna transfer the meatballs over to our cooling rack. Our second batch is in, ready to go. Again, 25 minutes at 400 degrees. I'm hungry and very tempted to eat one of these right now, but we won't. Okay, so now that we have the first batch done, second batch is in the oven, we'll go ahead and get our water going for our pasta. So I've got a a pot of water here ready to go, filled up about 2/3 of the way. I'm just gonna take some salt pretty generously into the water, put the lid on, and then we are going to turn it on high and bring it to a boil. One bag of pasta makes about 4 servings. If you need to make rice, make about 4 servings of that. Or again, if you just want to use it as an appetizer, then you don't need any pasta. So we're gonna go ahead and cook our pasta. Our next serving will be out in about 20 minutes, and then we'll go ahead and prepare our meals for the week. All right, so we have our pasta made, we have all of our meatballs made, and now we're going to portion it out for meals for the week. Full disclaimer, I ate one meal already. I was hungry while it was finishing cooking. So this has about 1 cup of pasta per meal prep container. I just kind of eyeball it so it's not too much, but also not too little. It's a little bit, this is a thicker noodle, so it's kind of hard to measure out. So I'm just gonna take the meatballs and weigh them. I think it's about 8 or 9 per meal prep container. All right, so I'm gonna give 9 to Simon, about 9, to get to at least 8 ounces of the protein. Now, we don't add the pasta sauce until we're ready to eat. So today we have the traditional pasta sauce from Ragu, but what I buy is no sugar added. So it's not necessarily sugar-free, but it doesn't have any added sugars. So we like that pasta sauce. That's what we've been using. Sometimes I buy the marinara version, sometimes I buy the vegetable version. It really just depends what they have. I'm gonna keep doing these. So this is me. I think I will get about 8 meatballs. I try to get at least 6 ounces, maybe 7. And we'll add a small one. So this has about 7 ounces. I did get just at 20 meatballs per pan. So we had 40 total. If you were doing this with an appetizer, you could make the meatballs ahead of time. You could even freeze them and defrost them when you're ready to eat them. And then just have, maybe this pasta sauce on the side when people are ready to eat it. Okay, so this is what happened last time. I had 4 full meals. I just measured 3 because I ate 1 already. I had some leftover pasta already made, so I went ahead and ate it. And then 3 additional meals made, so it's total 4. And then I have 5 additional meatballs. Now what I did last week, and this is a great way to use these, is I cut them up and put them in an omelet one morning. So if you have a few left over, it's 5. I really don't want to add any more protein to the meals. I think there's plenty. So I'll just put them in a separate container, cut them up when I'm ready to have breakfast tomorrow, and add them to my omelet. Let me know if you have any questions, and I hope you enjoy the recipe. Thank you.